Interventions of the beings in duty, which grew clear in the world towards current times, and put into effect great religious institutions and many other communal situations, have not been seen as so clear and encompassing in the world's initial cycle of mankind. For, in initial cycles, within their still developing comprehension, mankind was not in need of such major communal evolution. Mankind, whose comprehension was still at the stage of automatic intuition, was mostly leading individual lives. And some small communities that occurred in the meantime were completely different from the great communal concepts as currently understood. Transitory communities of those times occurred, under the needs arising out of a few very simple instinctual intuitions, such as worry over starvation, the instinct of fear, sexual needs, etc. In these simple developmental stages, the comprehensive communal lives of mankind were not established yet. And this was a consequence of lacking the enabling power of their comprehension to put into effect such a situation. That is, powers of gathering, establishing and administering, which are necessary in sufficient degrees to gather individuals, and to establish common activities towards a certain goal and to conduct them, had not yet occurred in their comprehensions. Because of this, these first humans, whose level of equilibrium of their conscience duality was always set on the plane of the earthly cravings, were confined to the lower realities for most of the time. For, the first humans who had just started to separate from the automatic advance in the stages of subhuman, did not yet possess the possibilities of direct intervention to their bodies with their comprehension, which they would acquire in future through a wider scope of freedom. If the case had continued like this, it would not have been possible for them to rise to higher stages of developmental equilibrium levels by themselves. Because of this, in order to ensure their ability to elevate the equilibrium levels of initial developments, the necessity and imperativeness of the individual interventions, coming from outside into the comprehension of mankind, had to continue for a while. Naturally, as comprehension developed, that is, as they widened their scopes through refining experiences in the human state, external interventions rather headed towards the side of increasing the possibilities of comprehension for their intervening developmental mechanisms by themselves. We have already mentioned that self-intervention of comprehension at the beginning of the human life could only be possible through external interventions and assistance. In these initial cycles, everything is automatic and without comprehension. Because of this, mankind called this instinct. In early times, higher communal plans had always intervened over mankind. Here, however, expression of intervention should not be misunderstood. What is meant by intervention is giving a direction, organizing and programming. Interventions that have more extreme meanings than those are not for the stage of humanity. So, in early times, classical expression of these external vibrations in comprehension was via the instincts. These instincts should be considered separate from the heavier and cruder automatism existing in animals. For, between these two automatisms, there is a wide difference in disposition. Likewise, such differences also exist between the automatism in animals and in plants. As comprehension is refined, these instincts become richer in characters, and enter into forms and states which mankind calls intuition. The start of the cycle of intuition in the world has occurred more or less inequality in regard to general value. Voids and deficiencies that could not be filled by instincts have started to be filled gradually with the birth of intuitions, and the communal life in the world, which is the symmetry and preparation of communal plans in the higher realms, has thus been established. And during this establishment, parallel to the development of comprehension and also as the results of this development, the need for secession of the whole into parts, fragmentations, organizings and organizer has emerged. Because of this, as the dispositions, necessities, and imperatives increase, similarities between bodies and similarities of instincts caused by the lack of content in comprehension, which is particular to the early cycles, have ceased to be, and different states put into effect by evolution have manifested in the bodies not as previous slight differences but as wide value differences. From this social formations moment onward, individual and communal gatherings, again, in the most automatic sense in regard to human life, have started. Some individuals have led these communities in regard to various value measurements, such as selfish leadership, leadership at a stage of conscience, and leadership at cycles of major and general development, that have arrived at certain times. It is this imperative that has made some of mankind acquire abilities of sensitive communication. Because of this, strong mediums have come, some certain transitional stages occurred, and the plans of emotional preparation for duty have started through the intuitions of some knowledge, grasping and reaching towards the higher paths of the universe, and finally, towards the recent times of the past. These plans have taken their most developed states and intuitions, have manifested in communities in the form of more powerful symbols and reforms. In summarizing comprehension's development, as the lot of the world, briefly and generally, we have also given general knowledge on how and in what way the communities were constituted.